The sun is so bright my phone might overheat, but we're just gonna hope for the best. Hello guys and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I am very new to the booktube book talk world, and I thought that the best way to kind of like introduce myself, give you guys a good overview of me and my taste, is to do a mid-year book wrap-up, book review, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna talk about all the books that I've read so far in 2025. A little bit more about me and reading before we get started. I've always been someone who reads over the summer. I would crank out like 5 books in the summer, but that was kind of all I really read. I wasn't really like reading in my free time, and I really wanted to get into it. I feel like everybody has like their origin book story, and a lot of people's is usually like, what are they? Like ACOTAR is like a big one, and like I feel like Emily Henry books are pretty big ones too. I would say mine was honestly Ellen Hildebrand, and we'll talk about that because I did read another one of her books this year, but last year I read I think like 3 or 4 of her books, and I was just like, this is amazing. I feel like that's honestly what got me into reading more. So at the end of last year I decided I'm gonna become a reading girly, and we are going to do this thing. 2025 is my year. I'm gonna get Goodreads, I'm gonna get Fable, I'm gonna have a reading goal, all of the things, and that's what I've done. We're gonna start off with some stats. I actually have my computer over here. If you see me looking over, that's what I'm doing. I've read 15 books this year, and my goal for the whole year is 30, so we are literally right on track. I did DNF 1 book, which I didn't include in the 15 book total just because I felt like that was kind of cheating because I literally read like 5 chapters. My average rating of the books this year has been a 4.1. I read the most in June. I read 6 books. And now for genres, I read 11 romances, 3 fiction, 2 fantasy, 2 literary fiction, and 1 YA. And then my most read authors are Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez. I've read 3 Emily Henry books this year and 2 Abby Jimenez books. Let's jump into January and talk about what I read first this year. The first book I picked up was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This was my 3rd read by her. I read another one of her books later in the year, so I've now read 4 of them. I've read everything except for Beach Read and Funny Story. And this takes the cake. This is my absolute favorite Emily Henry book. This book was such a good way to start the year. It follows our 2 main characters. They are ex-fiancés. They basically broke off their engagement but didn't tell a soul, like nobody, especially not their friend group. And their friend group goes on this like annual trip together to this beautiful beach town in Maine. So Harriet and Wynn are like, you know what, we're just gonna keep the peace. We're gonna pretend like we're together. We're gonna, we don't want to ruffle any feathers. It's the last time we're going on this trip. We'll just tell them when we're done that like we broke up, and all will be well. Let's just say all is not well. This book is fake dating, second chance, close proximity, and fake dating and close proximity are 2 tropes that I love. There's such like longing in a second chance book. They don't tell each other, but like we, the reader, know, and I love some longing. I gave this book 5 stars, so started the year with a bang. I love this book, and I'm gonna give it 5 stars for I think 3 reasons that I have like conjured up in my head. First was the setting. So beautiful, so magical. I literally thought this was a real town until like yesterday, so if that tells you anything, she definitely fooled me on the setting. Second reason, I loved our background, like secondary characters. There's a lot of female friendship in this book, and I really enjoyed that. I love to read about female friendship. And my third reason is Harriet, our female main character. I have never related to someone more. I could see myself in so many aspects of Harriet. I don't want to like spoil anything and tell you too much, but I just feel like I really get her. She's very much a people pleaser. I feel like the things that she thinks are right are things that other people want her to do or like want her to think is right, and that is me. I feel like I focus a lot on other people's opinions, and I need to be better about it. But Harriet, I feel you, girl. I love you, and if you want to read a book where you're kind of reading about me, read this book. If things couldn't get any crazier for like my first picks of the year, next I read ACOTAR by Sarah J. Maas. Another classic. Like, this is a book that everyone should read. I'm sorry, they should. It's a romantasy. I think this was my first technical romantasy. I've read fantasy books before, but I'm gonna say this is like the first romantasy book talk huge book that I've read, and she did not disappoint. In case you guys don't know what this book is about, it's essentially our female main character, Feyre. She makes a bad decision. That's what I'll say. I mean, it says on the back what she does, but she makes a bad decision, and she essentially gets taken prisoner by this high fae. His name is Tamlin, and she gets taken into the fae world, which like mortals like her, don't go into. They will literally die. So she's learning so much about this world, we're learning so much about this world, and it's basically just her and Tamlin, and they're figuring it out. That's all I'll say. The back doesn't really give that much of a description as to like what happens. I mean, like after reading it, it doesn't give that much of like what happens, because this book, there's some craziness in these pages, let me just say. The first half of this book was really slow for me. I think it's a lot of world building. This is it's not like a complicated, complex world, but you're learning a lot about like the hierarchy, the caste system. Like there's just a lot you have to learn about. There's so many creatures, there's so many things that could kill you in this world, and we're learning all about them, all about their traditions and stuff like that. And so I feel like that is why the first half of the book is kind of like just slow and you're just kind of getting into it. But the second half, y'all, I want to say the last 1/3. I don't even know if it's the full second half. The last 1/3 of this book is absolutely everything to me. It has all of the elements of like a fantasy that I love, and it was just freaking fantastic. Hit it out of the park for me. It is a whirlwind. Like, if you haven't read this and you're at all intrigued, you should pick it up. Again, I would just tell you, don't expect to like have this crazy book in the first half. I was expecting like all of this like crazy intense, like I was gonna be obsessed with this book, and in the first half I was just kind of like, it's okay. But the last half, so amazing. I gave this book 4.75 stars, but I would change it down to like 4.25. It was really good, but I think I was just riding the high of like the end of this book, and that's why I gave it such a high rating. I read no books in February. I'm sorry. It's my birth month. I had an anniversary. I had Valentine's Day. Like, I traveled. There's just a lot going on in a short little month. I just didn't read anything. Obviously, though, I picked up some speed in June because I'm still on track with my goal, but I gotta take a drink of water real quick. The first book I read in March was Swan by Ellen Hildebrand. You guys already know this is my girl. I love her. I actually met her. I got to go to Nantucket and meet her. I'll insert a picture. She's everything to me. I love this woman. So you guys know that I was a little sad. This is her last book. She has a crazy backlog. Like, I have a lot of books to get through, but I was really sad to know there's something new coming out, which there actually is. She's writing a book with her daughter. I think it comes out like next month or something later in this year. That's a very anticipated read for me, so I'm very excited about that. But this book is no different than all of her other fantastic books. This is like a mystery, but it's kind of like a mom sitting around the table at a country club gossiping mystery. Like, that's how I would explain it. This book takes place in Nantucket, as all of her books do, and it focuses on a new family that moves onto the island and is trying to like integrate themselves into Nantucket society, into like the social scene. They are throwing these crazy parties and they're spending all this insane money to try to get these people to like, you know, want to hang out with them and like want to be their friend. But oh boy, do they have some skeletons in their closet. It really all starts off with their family house burning down. Again, that's on the back. I'm not spoiling anything. And so you're kind of working through the book to learn about the present, like their house burned down. One of their very vital employees is missing. You're trying to figure out what the heck happened there. But you're also learning the background of like when they moved onto the island, what they did, kind of how they are seen by the families, and kind of what has led them to where they are now. This book has all the amazing things, setting, characters, and just such an interesting story. I was glued to this book. I read it on spring break and I did not put it down. Like, I was so obsessed. But yeah, it feels like you're reading about gossip, and I loved it. I gave this book 4 stars. It was amazing. Definitely recommend. The next book I read this month, I don't have on me. I donated it. But that is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. Story behind why I bought this book. I was in the airport after spring break. I'd finished Swan. Pretty sure I had another book to read, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I went to the little like airport store and I found Everybody on This Train is a Suspect, which actually, now that I think about it, I was between that and it was like called The 3 Lives of Someone. I'll put a picture, but I can't remember what it was called. I was between that book and this one, and I kind of wish I would have gone the other one. Didn't dislike this book, but we'll just talk about it. It wasn't like anything crazy outrageous. Honestly, I don't even know how to explain the book. It is technically the second in like a standalone series. Obviously, I didn't read the first one, but the author references the first one quite often. So just be warned, like if you haven't read the first one, it's probably okay, but like he's gonna talk about the first book a couple times. It was just a very interesting read. I think it's written in a way that I don't personally like. So I was into it, but I wasn't, you know, super crazy excited about it. It's basically about the author of the book you are currently reading, and he is like a mystery writer. He has seen a couple murders and had to like solve them. And he is on a train with a bunch of other authors. They're all in Australia, and they're on some kind of like, it's like, I don't want to say it's a brand trip because it's just not, but it's like they're invited on this trip by somebody, like a publishing person or a guy. No, by this man, by the guy, I think. And basically a murder occurs on this train, and all these authors are authors of very different genres. And essentially our author is just trying to like figure out what happened. I think there are a couple reasons why I didn't love this. First of all, the writing, like I said, I hated it. He broke the fourth wall a lot, and that's not my style. I mean, I guess it could be, but like I just wasn't really obsessed with him. And I just feel like it kind of lost me a lot. He also was trying to like get you to solve the murder and like give you hints, but those were not helpful, and every time I'd read them I would just get so confused, and so I didn't even try to solve it. I just like let it all kind of happen at the end. I mean, the end was definitely good. I feel like the end of every book is like interesting because something kind of crazy will happen, and then, you know, whatever. So that part I guess was good, but I wouldn't recommend it. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars, so kind of like hit or miss. Honestly, I'm trying to like work on my rating scale. I'd probably bump it down to like a 2, just because like a 3 I would still kind of recommend, and I don't even really know if I'd recommend this book. Moving on to April, the first book I read in April was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I was dying to read this book because it's definitely out of my comfort zone. It's not something that I would typically reach for because, as you guys can probably tell, I like a good romance and I like, I guess, a good mystery. I read a lot of mystery books this year, or like what I would consider a mystery book. I don't know. I guess they're technically probably like fiction or something, but I consider them romance. I mean, I consider them mystery. This book, although it was out of my comfort zone, I did thoroughly enjoy it. It is basically about our two main characters. They met as like kids and they have a bit of a falling out, and then they kind of re-meet again in college, and you're following them from like college until they're like their 30s or 40s, does it say? Just says spanning 30 years. So yeah, you start following them when they're like kids, and then you finish around like when they're in their late 30s. And it's really a lot of just like character driven story. I mean, you're really just following them. You go from reading about like, you know, Sadie in the present, but also in the past. You're learning kind of about why she is the way she is, how she came to be who she is, how she feels about her friendship and all of those things. And then you're also reading about Sam, his backstory, which is super interesting. He is like disabled, but it's just like, it's really interesting to hear about it and kind of hear like how that has really affected him. I don't want to go on another tangent, but I really, really enjoyed learning more about Sam and just their friendship. They work together. They both build video games, and that's kind of how they have this like falling back together moment, is they decide to build a game. Ichigo, that's how I would say it. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce it, but I would say Ichigo. What I really love is that it says on the back, let me read it. Yes, it's a love story, but it is not one you've read before, because it's not like a typical love story. It's more of a, again, like a friendship love story, and that is definitely interesting. This book felt very real to me because you're really like, she's not sugarcoating anything. These are two very imperfect, real human beings. They have a very imperfect friendship, and it's just really fascinating to kind of see what they do. And there's just a lot of twists and turns in this book. A lot of things happen and they change a lot from, I mean, when you start reading to the end. And like I said, it's definitely on my comfort zone, not a book I would typically read. I did give it 4 stars because I did thoroughly enjoy it. I will say I didn't love the ending of this book. I feel like that kind of just, it was just kind of like stopped. Like I felt like we didn't really like have a proper ending. I just turned the page and it was like over. The second book that I read in April was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This is actually my first ever book club book. My friends and I started a book club in April, and this is the first book we chose. I was so excited I got my hands on this. I don't know, when did this come out? In April? I think it did. I got this pretty close to when it came out, and I actually started reading it, and then we picked it as our book club book, so I was like, perfect. I really love Abby Jimenez. I really like her other books. I've read, again, a handful. No, I've only read 3 other books by her. But if you don't know, this book follows, again, our two main characters. It is dual point of view. And our female main character, what is her name? I forget everyone's name. His name is Xavier. What's her name? Samantha. Her name is Samantha. So our book follows Samantha and Xavier. Samantha is very like sunshine, positive. She's very funny. She works for like a social media brand, and it's like mustard or something. And then Xavier is like our grumpy main character. She tries to make him be grumpy, but I don't really see the grumpiness. He's not really grumpy. I mean, he's grumpy for like 1 chapter, and then he's kind of fine. He's a veterinarian. They have a really, really sweet first date. They end up liking each other a lot, and then Samantha drops the bomb that she has to go. She has to literally move halfway across the country and tend to her mother and help her family out with her mom. Her mom has Alzheimer's. I honestly was more invested in like Samantha's family life than the romance. I just felt like it was very simple. I feel like they fell in love in like seconds, which is fine. I mean, I'm not a big insta-lovey person, and this definitely has insta-lovey qualities. I do love that Xavier would really just drop anything for Samantha, and like he really put her first in a lot of situations when I feel like she didn't really get that from her family too often. And her family is obviously preoccupied with other things. I give this book 4 stars because I feel like it was just a really good read. I did enjoy it. Now, did I love the romance? No, but I did love a lot of other aspects of this book. I really did love, like now that I'm talking about it, why did I give it 4 stars? Maybe I should have done like 3.75. I'm like changing my ratings as we sit here. Definitely was an easy read for me. And like I said, I loved the family aspects and those kinds of things. It's just their love story fell a bit flat for me, that's what I'll say. So yeah, let's keep trucking along. We are now into May, and the first book I read in May was 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I've read another one for books. I read The Dead Romantics, and I feel like there's another one, but I don't even think she has another book. I mean, she just came out with another book. Let's look it up. Oh, A Novel Love Story. That's the other book I've read by her. Sorry, I forgot. So this is my 3rd book by her. I do actually have, what's the new one called? Sounds Like Love. I have it on my shelf, so I'm gonna read that pretty soon too. If you guys don't know, Ashley Poston writes about magical realism as well as romance. She has these like quirky, magical magical elements to her books, and they're so interesting and fascinating. And this book by her is one that I have heard nothing but like absolutely fabulous things about. And much as I did like this book, I definitely don't think I had the same feelings as like everybody else, which makes me so sad. I wish I could like say this is my favorite book that I've read this year, but it just definitely wasn't my favorite, but I did really like it. How many times am I gonna say that? This book follows our film main character. What is her name too? I'm just forgetting. Oh, Clementine. Oh my gosh, how can I forget? I love her name. And her aunt passes away, who she is so incredibly close with. Another book to look up trigger warnings. Honestly, at this point, I would look up trigger warnings for a lot of books. Any book you're gonna read, I would look them up just in case. But her aunt dies and she gets to take over her apartment. And her aunt used to tell her like, this apartment is magical. It does magical things. And she gets to now live there and kind of experience the magical parts of this apartment. And I'm gonna be honest, I think that the magical realism element really confused me. I think I was just so lost on like what was going on and what was happening. I literally loved every single aspect of this book. And at the end, once I kind of figured out that part, I did like end up obviously really liking it. That's just like the one little blip I had in the beginning is I was just like so confused. The ending was so full circle. I mean, everything is tied in a bow. It's very like butterfly effect-esque. Like I'm just thinking back on some of the things and like it's just so butterfly effect, which I love so much. Like that part is so cool. But yes, I really loved her, loved Clementine, and I loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. I think I told you that already, but if I didn't, 4 stars. Second book I read in April was a new release, and that was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I bought this book the day it came out, and I think I started reading it the next day. I didn't really go into it like knowing what other people thought, and I'm really thankful for that because people had a lot of mixed emotions, and I feel like if I would have gone in knowing that, maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much. I'm not really sure. But let me just say, I really enjoyed this book. I know there's a lot of people that have enjoyed it, and I am just one of them. I really love this book. If you don't know, this book follows 2 different storylines, honestly. It is about our female main character. Let's look up her name. Alice Scott. It's about her, and she is a ghostwriter. She's a ghostwriter, I believe. Or is she just a writer in general? I think she's a ghostwriter. I love reading about writers. I love reading about writers, small towns, and then all the tropes that I've talked about. But like, I love a book about a writer, or like a movie like How Lose a Guy in 10 Days. We're following Alice. She ends up finding this woman who was like a socialite in her time. She was like an heiress and, you know, really big in the media, and she disappeared. You know, she's now in her 70s or 80s, and no one has heard from this woman in years. So Alice finds her and decides, I want to write her book. Let me go get her, and like basically tell her, please let me write your book. So when she gets there, she ends up finding another person there, and he is a very famous ghostwriter. I think his name's Hayden. Yes, his name is Hayden. I was really good at that. She ends up finding that Hayden is there too, and Hayden also wants to write this book for Margaret, who is the socialite. So instead of like a past and present timeline, you're going back and forth between Alice and Hayden and kind of like what's going on there between them, and also what Margaret is telling Alice and like Margaret's life story. Like I said, I've heard a lot of reviews that people just didn't love it, and I loved this book so much. I feel like I was really invested in both stories. Like sometimes you read a book and it has like past and present, or you know, the 2 different opposing storylines, and I'm like lost in one of them and so excited to get back to the other one. This was very different. I loved Margaret's kind of section, but I also loved Alice and Hayden's section, and also it was in a little small town. Let me just add that I really enjoyed too. I'm definitely someone who likes pop culture and like reality TV and I guess like celebrities in a way. And so I feel like this was just like learning about a celebrity that in my head existed because she existed in the book. And so I loved Margaret's storyline, but also of course I loved Alice and I loved Hayden. I give it 5 stars. I really loved it. Sue me. And then the third book that I read in April, I actually DNF'd, and that was our book club book of the month for April? No, May. What? Our book club book of the month for May, and that's what I DNF'd, and it was called That's Not My Name. It was a thriller book, and I didn't finish it for a couple reasons. A, I was out of town when we had our book club meeting, so I couldn't go anyways. And B, I just couldn't get into it. I got, I think, like 5 or 6 chapters in on my Kindle, and was not for me. I don't dislike thriller books, but I just kind of was like, I want to read something else. This book is another dual point of view book. It is about a girl who gets kidnapped, and then you're also learning about her boyfriend from her hometown. She has amnesia, so she doesn't know that she's been kidnapped, but she is definitely suspicious from the get-go of like, who is this guy? Meanwhile, her boyfriend is being like verbally harassed around every corner of their hometown because they think he did it. And I think that's kind of what got on my nerves, is like, I was 5 or 6 chapters in, and every chapter of the boyfriend, it was just the same thing of like, everyone in the town hates him, everyone thinks he killed her, but they have like no proof. They just assume that he killed her. And it was just kind of like, we get it, you think he did it. It just kind of was going nowhere for me, and I already was like not really interested in reading it, so I just didn't finish it. I DNF'd it. It's probably a good book. I think our book club liked it. It definitely wasn't their favorite book we've read, but you know, whatever. People liked it. I didn't like it. Read it if you want. I just couldn't get into it. Now for June. June is when I really did my big one. I really read a lot this month. So we have quite a few books to go through. First book I read in June was Assistant to the Villain. I'd heard a lot of things about this book, that it was just kind of like goofy and, you know, very lighthearted and silly and kind of romancy and whatever. And so I decided to go with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was honestly very surprised that I liked it as much as I did. I wasn't expecting to like really enjoy this book that much. I thought it'd be kind of just like, oh, that was good and whatever, but I did really like this book. It's about our main character Eve, and she is trying to support her family. Her dad is like super sick with this mysterious illness, and her sister is pretty young. She's still in school, and she is just trying to find a job. She's kind of had some difficulties with her last job, so she's walking through the woods. And let me also say, in this world there is a king and there's a villain, and she just so happens to run into this villain. Everyone thinks the villain is like this old man and, you know, whatever, like haggard man, and he is not. He is pretty hot. In my head, he is Adam Driver. I don't know why. That's who I picture. He is Kylo Ren. So Eve kind of runs into him a bit unknowingly and ends up being his assistant, the assistant to the villain. And so the book kind of follows her and, you know, being the assistant to this notorious villain, but also she's trying to help him because someone is sabotaging the villain's work, and she has to figure out who's doing it and help him out with it. This book is very silly and like just goofy. Also, like, there are some pretty good twists and turns in this book. It is definitely very interesting. It's like the only word I can think. It's both like funny and also just an easy read. Like, I flew through this book. I also learned not too long ago that like the girl who wrote it on TikTok or something, or she was like writing it and like posting on TikTok about writing it, something of that sort, I'm pretty sure, which I didn't know that. I've seen some like not so amazing reviews of this book, and I definitely understand where people are coming from. Like, it is a little cringy and a little, you know, just like unserious, but that's why I liked it. Like, I thought it was funny and cute, and I did give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this, like, thoroughly. It ends on a cliffhanger, like a pretty big one, so I'm definitely excited to read the next one. I don't have the next one, but I definitely want it. Next, I read Part of Your World on my Kindle by Abby Jimenez. So that is a part of a standalone trilogy. And what if I told you I read it in reverse on accident? Which you can read it in whatever order you want. It's just kind of like the couples from the first 2 books appear in the third. The first couple appears in the second book, and then, you know, you just kind of like see these characters, but also it's romance trilogy. Like, what was I expecting? So I actually read them in reverse. So I read Just for the Summer, Yours Truly, and then I decided this year I have to read Part of Your World. Was it on Kindle Unlimited? I feel like it was. Maybe it wasn't though. It was. That's probably why I read it. If you are unfamiliar, this book is dual point of view as well, and it follows our 2 main characters. Our female main character is like this boss surgeon in the city. She is like so cool, and I really enjoyed her character. She is just like smart and funny and good at her job, but she has a lot of family issues, as so most people in these books. Let's just be so honest. She has a lot of pressure to be this very specific person. Whether it be from like her friends or her family or whatever. She's just very pressured to be a certain way, and she's like slowly but surely learning she needs to do what she wants to do. And she ends up having this very sweet meet cute with our male main character, who is kind of the opposite. He lives in like a very small town. He takes care of everybody. He's so sweet. And they meet, they're polar opposites, and we know how that's gonna end. So the book really is about like them having 2 very different individual lives and trying so hard to be together, and also trying so hard to like be apart, but like the universe literally will not let them be apart. I don't get emotional in books very often, but let me just say I got very emotional in this book. I got very invested in it. I loved our male main character. I think he was the sweetest. He cared so much about everyone, not just our female main character. I mean, he cared about her too, but like he cared about everybody. He was just so kind and compassionate and would do anything for literally anyone, and I just ate that up. He was so sweet. Next, I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I don't currently have that book on me either because my friend is reading it. That was our book club book of June, and that fantasy book is just phenomenal. If you are wanting to read it, I 1000% recommend reading it. It was absolutely amazing. I really loved it because the world is very simple. Like, in terms of fantasy elements, it is very low-key and chill compared to like ACOTAR, where you're learning about a lot of different things and there's a lot of words and it gets kind of confusing. Powerless is a lot more simple in my head. It's a lot more dystopian. It kind of is like Hunger Games-esque, I guess you could say. But this book is dual point of view as well, and it follows our two main characters, Peyton and Kai. Peyton isn't ordinary in the world. She has no powers. She lives in loot, which is kind of just like where all the people who like, you know, have either mundane powers or don't have powers, but no one's allowed to know that, live. And Kai is the literal prince, like the son of the king. He is an enforcer. His power, I can't remember what it's called, but basically he can like wield every single power. So like basically he has the best power of all time. And he's an enforcer who is supposed to kill ordinaries because the king is telling people that ordinaries make elites, which is people with powers, sick. And so he's supposed to go out and kill all these ordinaries, and Hayden literally is one, but no one knows she's one. Our two main characters have a meet cute. I mean, it's definitely very interesting the way that they meet, but every year in this world they have trials, and it's kind of like the Hunger Games in a sense that like each of the different, I don't know if you call them towns or just like each of the different places, like Loot, for example, someone gets like nominated, and of course they nominate Peyton, who doesn't have a power, and nobody knows that. So Peyton gets nominated to be in these trials against Kai and all of his friends that have crazy, amazing powers. And so the book really just follows like these trials and her relationships with people, and she's finding out a lot about the king and the kingdom in this world because she, I mean, obviously she hates the king. The king wants to literally get rid of her because she's an ordinary. I love trials and a ball in a fantasy. Like, I absolutely love them. And the trials in this book, so good. It is very high stakes. I was on the edge of my seat. I feel like I wasn't ever really like bored reading this. Again, the ending is crazy. I also cried in this book. I don't know if you guys have watched, but I have another video where I like tried to read as much of my June TBR as possible, and I literally am like tearing up at the end. And if you read it, you know, like, you know. And I also like went on TikTok maybe like a couple weeks ago, like after I'd finished Powerless, and this girl had posted like a bunch of quotes, I guess, that just like hit her hard. And the first one was a quote from ACOTAR, and I literally, or not ACOTAR, it was a quote from Powerless, and I literally saw it and I almost started crying again because it's just so good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I am itching to read the next one. The next book I read is another book I don't have on me because I borrowed it and I gave it back to the person I borrowed it from, and that is The Summer Pact by Emily Giffin, I think was the author. This was my lowest rated book of the year. Well, yeah, probably my lowest rated book of the year. I was not a fan. So this book basically follows a friend group, and this is a book you definitely need to read trigger warnings for because something pretty traumatic happens in like the first 5 pages. It's about a friend group in college, and something really traumatic happens to one of them, and then the other remaining friends make a pact, like a summer pact, that they are going to be there for each other whenever they need it. Like if one of them is going through a crisis, they are going to drop everything and be there for them. And so the book takes place like several years later, and one of the friends is going through a crisis, and she's like, you know what, I need you guys. There's a lot of reasons why I didn't love this book. First of all, very monotoned. It's not really a plot. It's just kind of like following the characters, but not in a fun way. I just was really bored. I didn't really care for the characters. I mean, I think Hannah is the one that you hear like low-key the most from. And I didn't dislike her, but it was just, I don't know. I mean, I love a friendship book, and I just wasn't obsessed with it. They kind of like aren't good friends to each other. There were things they were doing. I was just like, that's kind of weird. Like, I can't believe you guys are doing this to each other. And I don't know, it just was kind of boring. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan. There are a lot of things that like plot points that happened that I was just like, I called from the beginning. Like I would be like, oh, I bet this is gonna happen, and then a couple of chapters later it did, and I was like, typical, like I kind of figured that would happen. It was just kind of boring. Didn't really spark anything in me, so I gave it 2.5 stars. Just wasn't a fan. Next, I read Flawless. Let's just say all we can do is go up and trust we win up. I have been wanting to read this series. I've been wanting to read an Elsie Silver book. This is my first one, and she did not disappoint. You guys, I am into cowboy romances now. What can I say? I had a lot of preconceptions going into this book. I thought it was just a snotty cowboy romance, and I was like, it's gonna be a good book, like I'm gonna enjoy it, but it's gonna be like 4 stars, you know, nothing crazy. But oh boy, was I wrong. Yes, there's smut in this book. Yes, it's a cowboy romance, but there is so much to this book and to this world that like I can't even put into words. I cannot believe that this book, like, the things that are in these pages, so freaking good. I love all of our side characters. I loved our 2 main characters. Rhett. It's funny because Elsie Silver says he has long hair, but I envision him as the guy from the Hannah Montana movie. What is his name? I don't know why. That's who I picture. And Summer, like, love her so much. To me, she doesn't relate to Harriet, but like there are certain aspects that her and Harriet kind of share, and I think for those reasons I liked Summer a lot. Like I saw those similarities and that like sparked something in me. There are, I think, like 5 books in this series, and they all take place in Chestnut Springs, like the world or like the little town we're in, and all of the books are about different characters that you meet in this first book. I'm so excited. The next one is about Cade, who is like his brother, who is so grumpy. I cannot wait to read it. But this book follows Rhett and Summer. Rhett is a bull rider. He is just, I hate to say it, a bad boy. He like does these things, and he kind of has this like media, I don't want to say like cancellation, but he just kind of does something where his PR team, his honestly PR rep is like, you need to calm down. And so he decides, his PR manager or whatever, decides that he's going to stick him with his daughter. Her name is Summer. And he's like, Summer is going to whip you into shape. You're not gonna do anything without her being there. Like, you are going to be good to the media. She's gonna train you how to talk to the media, because you're gonna lose all your sponsorships, all your fans. Like, people are not gonna like you anymore. Summer gets stuck with him. And the one rule, let me read it. What does it say? Rules were simple. Keep his hands off his agent's daughter and stay out of trouble. Like, it sounds so crazy. And I do recognize that, like, when I read the back of this book, I was like, it's really cringy. It sounds really cringy. But oh my gosh, it's so good. I like keep saying that I love these books so much, and then I feel like I can't really say like, I mean, I say why I like them, but I can't really like give too many details. This has close proximity in it, and that is just always gonna do it for me. I love the tension. I love it so much. I think it's so good. I literally have the next one, Heartless, on my shelf, and I'm gonna read it ASAP. 2 more books and then we're done, I swear. The next book I read in June was Book Club by Emily Henry. So it's about a literary agent, and then our male main character is an editor, which you guys know I love. They both live in New York, and Nora, our film main character, has a younger sister named Libby. I loved Libby. So Nora's biggest best-selling client, her books take place in this place called Sunshine Falls, North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina, so very fun. Sorry, my dad texted me. So it takes place in Sunshine Falls. So Libby wants to go there for like a month, have a vacation, and Nora's like, perfect, let's go. So the main character, is his name Charlie? It is, because Love Island's on right now, and literally when I read Charlie, I was like, oh, Charlie from Love Island. That's why I make sure, that's why I imagined. So Charlie comes into play because he is, like I said, an editor, and they meet one time in New York and have a not so great encounter, not a good first impression. They both just have their reasons, but wasn't great. And not to mention, Charlie is like a pretty big hater on this book series that takes place in Sunshine Falls. Like, he is like, Sunshine Falls, like, no, I don't like it. So when they run into each other in Sunshine Falls, things get kind of interesting, because Nora's like, thought you hated it here. I gave this book 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite Emily Henry book as much as I did like it. The 2 main characters I wasn't super attached to. I really liked Libby, like the little sister, but other than that, I was kind of just whatever about it. I love a small town, so that aspect I really definitely like. Our last book that we're going to talk about is a book I actually read in July. I finished it a couple days ago, but I figured might as well talk about it. And that is First Time Caller. I've heard a lot of things about this book. I really love the cover of it, and so I just felt drawn to it, and I decided to read it. And I hate to say we're ending on somewhat of a meh note, because I didn't love this book, wasn't obsessed with it. It is dual point of view. It is our 2 main characters, Aiden Valentine, who runs a radio show in Baltimore. It's called Heartstrings, that was right. He runs this radio show where basically he gives people like relationship advice, love advice. He's really into it, but he's found himself falling out of love with love. Meanwhile, we have Lucy, who is our film main character. She just can't seem to find the one for her. So she finds herself on this radio show talking about her love life. I gave this book 3 stars for, again, just several reasons. I wasn't obsessed with our 2 main characters. Just, you know, they kind of fell flat for me. I mean, I liked them. I liked Lucy, but they really described her as like this hopeless romantic, and I just didn't get that. Like, she really wasn't. I mean, maybe she was in some aspect, but like, I wouldn't consider her a hopeless romantic personally. I would suggest, if you have it, like, read it, but I wouldn't go out and buy it. That's what I'll say. For all the books that I've read so far this year, I've talked for, I don't even want to know how long. Let me take a sip of water. The sun is really falling behind the clouds, so, you know, the lighting definitely has changed a little bit, so just bear with me. If you watched the whole thing, please like my comment down below, because I need to know that you guys stayed through the whole thing. I really did ramble a lot, but hopefully you guys got to know me a little bit more as a reader, as a person. I'm really excited for a lot of more content. I just moved. You guys haven't watched that vlog, go check it out. Just moved to Charleston, South Carolina. I start my job literally next week. So yeah, let me stop rambling. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any book recs, let me know. Currently, I'm reading Magnolia Parks, so the next book that you should see me update is that one. Again, follow me on Goodreads, follow me on Fable. I am going to post updates when I finish Magnolia Parks. I'll probably give you guys like some sort of review. I've been doing that on Goodreads, like giving my actual review. I don't give one on Fable, I just do it on Goodreads. So yeah, love you guys so much, and I'll see you very soon.